the state I was in was complete and utter desperation. Desperation for things to be better, desperation for things to be different. Makes me shake even thinking about it because I can't believe that that's where we were at. But at the same time, like where we are now just blows my mind. I'll never forget that first payday of running our money through the spreadsheet and paying ourselves first. So saving money first above everything else and anything else that we had to do with our money that fortnight was saving first, and how fucking empowering that felt.
I'm here with the beautiful Whitney Cordner, and I couldn't be more excited to be interviewing her because we have a very special relationship. We have a very special journey that we've been on, and like your story, Whitney, is so amazing. Your literal story of creating your wealthiest life is like, we need to write a book, I feel, on this. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. So excited.
I love it. Whitney, I'll let you introduce yourself. Do you want to let everyone know who you are, what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Whitney. I'm a mum of two. I've got a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, which I cannot believe that my 2 kids are in school as of next year. Married to my husband. We've been together 15 years. Oh, my goodness. And we are living on the coast, which is soon to be our dream home, which we'll talk a bit more about as well. Yeah, I always say I'm just your everyday mum. I'm your everyday wife. I did 12 years full-time in army, and then once I had my babies, I knew I wanted to be home with them, and then cut back to part-time. So I just do part-time army from home now 3 days a week, and hubby is full-time army still, but has a lot of flexibility with where he works from home and from the office and that. So we're just living that coastal dream right now, and yeah, it's amazing. Life is good.
Whitney, this is how I met Whitney. Whitney and I we knew each other from my first business was in the network marketing space. So we were both a part of the same network marketing company, different teams. I think you knew me, but I kind of knew you.
Yeah. Oh, it was a big world, like big space, wasn't it? But yeah. I think that's how I came across you, obviously, with that connection, being within that same company, and which obviously led me down this path and led me to you. So yeah.
So yeah, I'm like, do you know how long we've been connected? That's the amazing thing of social media. But 3 years ago, well, 2 years and 11 months, because it's 3 years in October, and we're recording in September right now. So it's almost been 3 years. 3 years ago is when I packaged up everything that I had learned about money and my healing, my relationship with money, and made it into the program Wealthy as Fuck. And Whitney jumped on my very first masterclass where I was like introducing it. And I think a week later you came back and you were like, right, I need this. I need to be a part of it. So what I would love for you to share, like tell me about how life was like just only 3 years ago. What was going on when it came to money? Like paint that picture.
And honestly, today, that feels like a lifetime ago. That feels like a different life. But nearly 3 years ago, hubby and I, both defence, government jobs, earning good money. We had nothing to show for it. We had debt. That's about what we had to show for it. We didn't own a home because we got subsidised housing being defence, and that was really good at the time. Maxed out credit card. And at the time, the kids were like 2 and 3. Again, I hadn't gone back to work full time, and it was starting. Hubby and I weren't fighters. We've never really tended to argue or anything, but it was getting to the point where the money was starting to cause the arguments and the resentment. The resentment was really big, that I was the one that carried that full responsibility of these are the bills that need to be paid and, paying them on time. And the money would come in, I'd put money aside for whatever bills, and then hubby would be spending it. And then, so that's obviously the resentment came along, the anger, the frustration. And we'd actually dug ourselves into a hole that we were in that paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. What saving looked like for us was if we had anything left the day before payday, that money got put into our savings account. And then within that next pay cycle or two, that money was gone. We were dipping into it. We were needing it. And literally within those few months leading up to, coming into the Wealthy as Fuck program, we'd got ourselves to the point where I literally couldn't believe it, but I was having to pick what bills were going to be paid on time and what bills had to be overdue, because that's where we'd gotten ourselves. I just couldn't believe that that's where we were. Like, that's where we were at, and that's what our future was looking like. I felt like I'd tried everything, done all the podcasts, done all the free masterclasses that were out there, you know, the old barefoot investor, and nothing seemed to work, or it did for a very short period of time and then didn't. Like, it wasn't sustainable for us. Percentages, those certain percentages being told that's what you had to save and that's what you had to live off, didn't work for us. And I say, at that time 3 years ago, the state I was in was complete and utter desperation. Desperation for things to be better, desperation for things to be different. Like, again, it was a real wake-up call. That same month that I think I jumped onto a free masterclasses of Kim's that, again, led me through this door, we were facing a $10,000 emergency vet bill for one of our dogs. And I thought, how had we gotten ourselves to early 30s, maxed out credit card, no way of paying this $10,000 bill? And I'm like, I'm going to have to call my dad and ask my dad as in my 30s for $10,000 to keep my bloody dog alive. Like, I just couldn't believe that that's where we were at. And I think I remember saying to Kim, I know I need this. I know I need this help, but I can't afford it right now. Like, I did not have the money for this, and that's exactly why I knew I needed to do this. Yeah, it was just, like, literally makes me shake even thinking about it, because I can't believe that that's where we were at. But at the same time, like, where we are now just blows my mind that that's what we've been able to do. But I remember the big thing too, starting, and I told hubby, this is what I'm going to do. And the victim mentality that I was in, because I was very much in that victim mindset that 3 years ago, that I am going to do exactly what Kim teaches. I'm going to live and breathe this. I'm going to be that grade A student. I'm going to do everything that Kim tells me, because at least when I get to the end, and at least when I finish it and it doesn't work, because already in my mind I'm telling myself it's not going to work because nothing had in the past, that at least I can say I tried. At least I can look my kids in the eye and say, Mum fucking tried. And I'm sorry, but it didn't work. Like, that's already the mindset that I was in, that this is going to fail because everything else had. Little did I know that.
Don't forget, we had the 100% money back guarantee. So your brain would have been like, I'm going to do all the things and then show that it doesn't work so I can get my money back.
Oh, look, I actually don't remember that. Like, I don't remember that, but it was just that victim mentality, because I'd always been the victim to the universe of everything shit was happening to me, and that's just the way it was. But yeah, God, like, just goes to show what fully committing to this can do. Gives me goosebumps even thinking about it.
I just got tingles before when you were saying, but this is the reality, and the reality you got at. I've been there. Pretty much everyone I talk to, like, you guys were on over 6 figures as a household income. Housing subsidy.
Like, we were dual.
Right, almost hitting like a multi 6-figure household income, right? And your house, you didn't have to pay rent or mortgage. You had bills that were like utilities and stuff subsidized. Now, this is almost painting that picture of like if anyone else listening is like, oh, see, you did have it lucky. It's like, yeah, you had it fucking lucky, and you were still stuck. So you are like the perfect example of, even when you're getting, for lack of a better way of saying it, but you were literally getting the handouts, because that was the perk of the job that you were doing. There was still not enough. There was still maxed out. You were still having to call, like, no one wants to call their fucking parents to borrow money. Like, no one wants to have to do that.
I think one thing too that, sticks out and what I do remember is I vividly remember one, like I say argument, but one discussion that led to tears. And I'm not a crier. I'm not at a very I shouldn't say hyper, but I'm not an emotional crier. But I remember I was crying and saying to the hubby, like saying to Matthew, like, I'm so done. Like, you need to take responsibility for the money. You start managing it. You pay the bills. I'm done. Like, I'm so done with carrying that weight on my shoulders. And I remember saying to him, because I cut back, I had my 2 kids very close in age. So I kind of say I was on maternity leave for nearly 3 years, but I obviously went back for a very short period in between the 2 kids. But I had been on half pay. Like, I've been on half a wage ever since. I never went back to that 6-figure income. And that was important for me. And that was a big value of mine, to be home with the kids before school, like before they start school. And I remember saying to hubby, like, I will leave you before you guilt me into going back to work full time. Because I knew that that wasn't going to be the solution here of me going back to work full time. And I said to him, I will resent you forever. Like, I will resent you if I have to go back to work and you take that time from me away from the kids, because that's how we wanted our family to be and to raise the kids with me at home majority of the week. And I think that was a big eye opener for him as well. Like, oh, okay, shit, this is important. And yeah, we needed to make my half income work.
Because wealthy people buy time, and we have this streak when we're grown up lower to middle class, and especially as women, we want to have the kids, we want to be there because we want to be there with that time. But that, we haven't learned any other way. What we have learned is, well, time costs money. If you're not going to work, you have to sacrifice money, which gives you stability and freedom, so you can have that time with your kids. So there's even a resentment that can build up there. And I know a lot of people listening are like, oh, you had the balls to say that to your hubby, like you had that confidence, and not many women do. And look, let's just say this first and foremost. You and Matthew are in a beautiful space in your relationship, right? It's not like I guess, how do I explain this? There are a lot of people.
We've had our tough times, don't you worry. We've had our tough times. I think a big thing for me, and 15 years we've been together, but the conversations that we have now about money and about saving and investing are completely different conversations to what we were having 3 years ago. And a big thing for me was, we both came from middle to lower class families. We weren't taught about money. We weren't taught about investing or saving. We were just taught, you work hard, you play hard, you work hard, you spend it. And that was hubby's mentality of work hard, we spend it. And, over the last 5-6 years, whilst having the kids, we've suffered some big losses in our family and extended family, which really opened your eyes. And growing up, my family, I saw the way that my mum controlled the money. And I held a lot of negative resentment all my adulthood of, poor dad, he worked hard, he worked full-time, mum never worked until us kids were all in school, but dad never got a cent. Like, he was lucky to get maybe $20 a week to buy his pack of cigarettes back in the day. But I saw what then obviously led to, divorce in the future. And I saw that happening for us. I saw Matthew and I going down that path of, I'm in control, I'm the one that's got the responsibility. So if shit hits the fan with money, which it clearly was, shit was hitting the fan,
yeah,
that was falling on my shoulders. That was my responsibility. And already it was causing that rift between hubby and I, and that resentment. And I'm like, I don't want this. And I remember saying to him, I don't want to end up divorced like my parents. Like, I don't want money to control our family and our life the way it did for me in my childhood.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Like, I saw money completely destroy my family and my parents, and I'm a child of divorce, and you do marry your dad, and like, here you sharing this, I'm like, you literally married your dad, because in the sense of he worked hard and he wanted to go spend, but your mum controlled it. So there's a level of, you don't want Matt to, before you did this work with me, you didn't want Matt to miss out because you saw your dad missing out, but the opposite effect of that is there's still that resentment bubbling up, because then he's overspending. And see, Daniel, my husband, he was the happy-go-lucky spender. So we both came from scarcity. I was like the hoarder, can't spend, restrict. What are you doing? Oh my God, that's expensive. Shopping is expensive, all the things. And he's like, fuck it, if I want it, go get it. And then I'll just be broke for a few days waiting for the next payday. And that cycle's comfortable. Okay, so we've talked so much about where you were. And I know, like, you're the perfect example where so many people are at in life and where they've come from and the cycles that we're stuck in. Now, you came into Wealthy as Fuck with your reservations, with your ready to like prove this wrong, which I actually love to have that fire in the belly, because it only rewarded you so much. I'd actually love to know, because inside the program, we first work on your mindset, because we've got to do that. Then you learn how to manage your money. Let's talk about, like, because you are actually a whiz. Like, you are so amazing with our Wealthy as Fuck blueprint and managing the money. Like, I always joke that he's like better than me and I'm the one who put it together. I love this. But the mindset, what are some of or maybe there's just one or two key, or like, what's the biggest perspective shifts, lessons, whatever you want to call them, that you had when we did this mindset work.
I always say this to people too. It's not just a money course, and that's what I figured out pretty quick within the mindset stuff. So I held a lot of resentment for my mum of things in the past because of the divorce. Was never super close with my mum, was always closer with my dad, and still to this day. And I think I had to talk this through with you, Kim, in some coaching, was I want to get through this mindset stuff and really dig into it, but it all leads back to mum. And I hold this resentment. I was nearly not ready. I wasn't ready to deal with that and have positive energy towards my mum because I'd carried that resentment for so long and that negative shit I was carrying around. I'm like, I need to deal with this money mindset stuff, but it's bringing up all this other stuff with our relationship and having to forgive and find the gift in so many negatives towards her. That was a huge shift for me, huge shift. And even now when things come up that I'm like, I've got to find the gift. I've got to find, mum's at a different point in her life and different shit going on than what I've got going on. But I think, just letting go, surrendering. And that, I suppose it was that feminine energy. I'm very masculine.
Yeah.
So I joined the army. Like, I'm a doer. I need to see things. Spreadsheets are my jam. But being able to surrender and forgive and just releasing that negative energy because I knew it wasn't doing me good. That was a really big shift for me.
I remember that. It was huge. Stuff. And that's the thing. Like, I didn't know this at the time doing this work, but even recently as I've gone deeper into, next layer of trauma healing, there's always more as we want to evolve. The next level of shit comes up for us to clean up. But the masculine energy, we have both. Everyone has both. There's a duality, right? But the masculine energy is designed to protect. And when we have money trauma, emotional money trauma, all those things, especially against, it usually does come from our parents because that's where we learn it from. The masculine is to protect. So I was this too. You were this as well. A lot of my clients are in this space when they just it's like I need to take control. I want to be in control of it all. I want the logistical. I want the practical. I need to see the numbers. I need to manage it. Because when we're in that masculine, we're protecting ourselves. So it makes us feel safe because we actually don't feel safe. And the feminine is to trust. And we have trust issues. Thank you, mum and dad, for giving us trust issues. That's okay. They have trust issues too. That was passed down to them. Trust issues around money. So I think it was huge for you. I actually do remember you would say things like, I never thought I'd be working on my relationship with my mum to heal my relationship with money. I'd say, yep, we're going in deep. But you've worked on it. That was 3 years ago, right? You did the work. It's not like I know it wasn't easy, but it wasn't super hard. Like, it was simple. You just had to work through emotion. Since then, like, how is your relationship with mum? How is your relationship with money? Like, I know you haven't really needed to work on it again because once you do it, you don't have to do it again.
Yeah. I think relationship with mum, I suppose, better, but we're not super close. We never really have been super close. And since I was 19 when I left the army, I haven't lived at home. So I've been very independent. And like, I thank mum and dad, like I see that in a gift now of how they raised me to be so independent that even now with conversations with mum, it's like, I can just let things go. Like I know how heavy that can be for me and was for me in the past, carrying that around, that negative emotion. But now I'm just like, it's not worth it. Like, again, we've suffered loss in our family on my hubby's side. And it's like, it's just, life's too short. Like, life is way too short that, it's just not worth that negative energy because that negative energy, will come into your life in different areas, money, relationships, whatever. But yeah, I catch myself now, even like when we were away, like we just got back last week from our Disneyland holiday and catching myself like, that's expensive or like that's, just little things would come up. I'm like, I kind of go through that process in my head of, the think rich method and what you've taught me that I can work through those processes in my head on the spot now. So I'm definitely not perfect. And my mindset's definitely little things come up and want to test me, but I've got the tools now to work through that on the spot, which I'm so grateful for.
I love that because when we worry about mum or dad or we have any kind of negative emotion that's triggered by money or around money, it stops more money coming to us. So this is where it gets really exciting because you're blocking a shitload of money coming to you. And we need to preface this because I have clients who are business owners, FIFO wives, like yourself, both workers, you guys are on a fixed income. And then when you learn the money management and you're like, Kim, you're saying that I'm going to be able to attract more money in, but we are on a fixed income, like fixed salary. So even if I work more hours, I still get paid the same pretty much, right? And you're like, so let's talk about this. Tell me, I'd love to know first, like what lit you up the most about the money blueprint? Just talk me through it all, that part. And then it was within months of you having, not even that, weeks of you having that set up. Bloody hell, the messages would send. And I'm like, I almost was like, I don't believe you, but this shit works. I do believe you, but it's almost so good. It's too good to be true, but it's how the universe works. So talk us through how the blueprint, how that was for you, because obviously your practical, logistical side, it was really like right up your alley. And what did you start attracting in? Like what was it bringing you?
I still, again, remember to this day that conversation with you that I'm like, we're on fixed income. Like, how is this? And we were coming up to leading into Christmas and knowing that I wasn't going to have work over the Christmas period or won't be paid. And at the time, obviously, had nothing in our savings. So already I was starting to freak out. And I'm saying to Kim, like, you know, well, I suppose in my mind, I'm like, yeah, all well and good to say you're going to attract it in, but I need to see it. Like I need to see, that masculine energy is like, I need that evidence. Where's it coming from? I need to know logistically how that's working. So for me, I suppose the manifestation was hard to start with because I'm like, this is the woo-woo. That was my mindset, was this is the woo-woo stuff. I always hear people say money's easy and, you know, I attract so much money in, but victim me was like, all well and good for you, but that doesn't happen to me. Once we got our blueprint set up and structured, and I remember that's at the point that I sat Matthew down and was like, these are the accounts we're setting up. These are from our audit that we did. This is what we spent where in the last 12 months, and putting it into our blueprint. And I remember like we were 20 to 30,000 in the red. Like we were living 20 to 30,000 above what we were bringing in at the time. Hence that paycheck to paycheck cycle and the maxed out credit card. Once we got that flow happening and the money was flowing in and running it through the blueprint, I'll never forget that first payday of running our money through the spreadsheet and paying ourselves first. So saving money first above everything else and anything else that we had to do with our money that fortnight was saving first. And how fucking empowering that felt. And I think I said it, like, message Kim, I'm like, I can't believe how good that, like, paying ourselves first and valuing ourselves enough that we were paying ourselves first and then allocating our money. And it was just easy. I'm like, okay, cool, I can do this. This seems at the time, this seems sustainable. Like, I can do this long term. Right now, this feels good. Doesn't feel restrictive. It doesn't feel yucky. Yes, we'd had to, and I don't even like to say it, but cut back because, again, 20 to 30,000, I remember having to reevaluate things because I was saying to Kim, well, I want X amount of dollars for Christmas for the kids. I want X amount of dollars for birthdays. I want X amount of dollars for travel. I was being completely delusional because, again, that wasn't, you know, what I was wanting to spend to what we were bringing in just didn't match up. And it was once we had figured out those numbers completely and everything fit into our spreadsheet that it was within weeks that stuff started happening. Randomly one day looking at my paycheck at work and thinking, hang on, like I'm in a position of the higher rank, which I didn't know and had been for over 12 months. So having those conversations with my boss at work, and he's like, oh yeah, you need to be back paid for that. So thousands of dollars worth in back pay. And again, very much stuck in that mindset of we're on fixed income. Like this is what we earn a fortnight. This is what annually. And this is what comes in a fortnight. That's not going to change. So I got back paid. We were getting reimbursed for things. Hubby went to like the work Christmas party and ended up winning the money. Like there was money up for grabs and he ended up winning that. Honestly, I should have kept track better of what we were attracting in, but it's still happening now. Like I think a few days before we went on our holiday, Matthew's like, there's an extra $300 that's come into the account and it says this is where it's from. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I don't know why we got extra money, but cool, awesome. Like it makes sense now because when we got home from the holiday, we had a letter in the mail explaining what the money was, but it was like completely random, did not know. We started our defense compensation years ago. Like this was 2 years over 2 years in the making. And then we've had that money come through this year as well, which is well and truly above double, triple what we thought we were going to get as well. But this is, I suppose, probably one of the biggest shifts I've had is in the manifestation realm of what we attract in. And it's funny because hubby's completely on board now too. He's like, how do we manifest this in? Like, how's this going to work? And even leading up to the holidays, like, are you sure we're going to have enough money? Like, we're going to lose so much money in the conversion because we went to America and the dollar's not the best at the moment. And I'm like, I fully believe and I know how much we're going to have a day because this is what we want to spend. I can show you, the masculine energy, where that money's coming from. But then we have that gap. Like, that's the gap. And that's what I'm going to manifest in. Like, this is going to work. And don't care where it comes from, but it's coming in. And just having that belief and surrendering to the system that we have and that structure that we have in place and just knowing that it's going to work out. And for the last 3 years, it's well and truly worked out. And it's been insane, absolutely insane. We've been able to attract it above just our normal fortnightly pace, our standard pace that we get.
But that first one you got, it was because over Christmas and you took time off and you're like, I'm not going to have income for 2 weeks. And then you end up getting that back pay. So that was thousands. I remember it was thousands. Then 6 months later, around tax time, you got the tax money back. You got like family tax, something that you're like, I didn't think I was meant to get this.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is what happens inside the program where the money comes to you when you have been in a space of, well, I'm not entitled to that, or I can't do it. But like, then it comes. What I'd actually love for you to share, because we haven't shared this, and you do share it a lot when I get you to come and share your story on my masterclasses. But what, like the first goal within your first 12, because we kind of jumped right to the end, the 3 years. So there's been craziness, epic craziness, amazingness in the middle. So talk to me about, like, give people some numbers. Because the first thing we do, it's not about like multiplying or investing your money is like the last step. But first we need a saving strategy. We need money in the bank. So you went from maxed out credit cards, not wanting to call dad, but might need to call dad. I think you started with $361 in your savings account. So tell me about, I already know this, but like, you have to share this. Your savings account is like a third baby and it grew very quickly and very nicely. So talk to me about that. Tell us about your journey, your savings.
So our big goal was, at the time, we knew that hubby was getting near due for posting, so having to move anyway. We knew the dream where we wanted to raise the kids. We knew that a couple of years leading up to, but again, something we felt very delusional about, moving to the coast, living in a coastal town. We knew it wasn't, like, it was more expensive than where we had moved from, but we knew this is where we wanted to raise the kids. And the time frame we put on ourselves was when our son was starting school, which was the start of this year. And again, it felt like a very far off dream, and that we were living in la la land thinking this was possible, because with $300 in the savings account, it's like, how the fuck are we ever going to afford a deposit for a house and to be able to pay mortgage repayments? So coming into Wealthy as Fuck, that was the dream. That was the big thing of being able to save. And at the time it was I think we had just over 2 years, like, leading up to that deadline for us for Lou starting school. And I think within the first 10 months, we'd saved about $30,000, if not over $30,000. And I can't believe, like, hitting those milestones, hitting a $5,000 in the savings account. That was more than we'd ever had in a savings account. Then hitting the 10, the 15, the 20, and I was always letting Kim know, I'm like, this is where we're up to. And I'm a very visual person. So we had these colouring ins on the fridge, and we're colouring in the bricks leading up to how much we wanted to save for the house deposit. And we got the kids involved. Again, kids at the time were fairly young. The pictures were houses. And we said to the kids, once we've coloured in 3 houses, that's when we're living on the beach. Like, that's when we're moving to our new house. So we're getting the kids involved as well, and they fully understood what was happening. And we got about 12 months, I want to say 12 months in of saving, and we were very much on track, like, to save the amount that we wanted for a deposit. And we'd made the decision, both of our cars were they're only a year difference in age. And we're like, shit, I think we need to update one of the cars. Like, I didn't want to have to get a mortgage and at the same time having to replace one of the cars, knowing that both of them were probably going to need it at the same time. So we'd made the decision. It was a fairly easy decision because to buy a new car, because we knew that we could fit those car repayments into our spreadsheet without sacrificing how much we were saving towards the house deposit. So we went ahead, bought the new car, bought the new ute. And then I think it was 10 months. We'd had finance on the car for 10 months and we'd had 60 to 70,000. Yeah, no, about 60,000 saved in the house deposit savings by that point. And I remember looking at just like kind of auditing our spreadsheet, where can we save more right now? What more can we do? And I remember looking at the repayments of the car and like, shit, like one of those payments one of the fortnightly payments in that month, it was like, that was just interest. And then there was barely anything coming off the principal each month. And I'm like, you know what? Again, the masculine in me ran all the numbers and knew that if we used our savings right now, we could pay out that car loan. And this is how much those car payments we could add to our savings, and knew how long it would take us to build up that $60,000 again. So I remember going to hubby and I'm like, I think this is what we need to do. I think we need to spend our savings right now, pay off the car, start savings from scratch again. So we did that. At like a split second of me was like, holy shit, are we really we've just saved so much money. Are we really about to spend this right now? But I knew in the long run, this was the best choice for us, and going into a mortgage with having no debt. Like, I knew that it would make things just that little bit simpler to get our mortgage with having no debt behind us. So then, yeah, we started saving again and we had nearly doubled. So we nearly got ourselves to that point of living off one paycheck and saving one whole paycheck every fortnight. So we were able to build that savings account back up again. And then and again, like, this is the universe doing its magic, but it was exactly 2 years to the date of signing up for Wealthy as Fuck. It was on that day, 2 years later, that we were signing our contracts for our house, buying our house here in our coastal town. And I remember saying, like, I messaged Kim a voice message and I'm like, you'll not believe this. Like, this, how is this exactly 2 years to the date, the exact same date that our dream has now, it's reality. Like, we're signing the dotted lines today. And a big thing for us was, which we see with a lot of people, of starting that mortgage, getting that mortgage, and then living in such a restriction and in living in such this is our life now. We've got the mortgage. This is what we always wanted, but we can't afford to do anything else, living in that scarcity. And that was really what we wanted to avoid. We're not, like, our mortgage repayment's going to be too high. Can we really afford what we're spending on a house right now? And I must say, hubby was a little bit weary of that. He goes, I don't want to be in restriction to have our house to be living in our own home. And again, we knew exactly, looking on our blueprint and looking at our spreadsheet of, well, no, this is how much money we can still save. So end of November last year, we finally moved in. We were very lucky. We had the first home buyers grants and stuff like that. So a lot of that helped us out as well, which meant we could keep a bit of cash in the bank, which felt really good. Moved straight in. We spent $10,000 on gym, or just over $10,000 on gym equipment and gym flooring, all brand new, because we had a big shed that we were fully converting to our home gym, which we could do straight away because we had that cash as soon as we had moved in. All the whilst spending, these big, house deposit, our home gym and everything, we still had that buffer. We still had our do not touch account, which always felt good because that was there, and because of that, that eliminated that stress. If something ever happened, we would be okay because we knew we had that there. So yeah, moved in, I think by Christmas so it was probably a month after being in the house. We were kind of like, cool, what next? And because we didn't feel like we'd sacrificed over the last 2 years, like we weren't super restrictive with the savings for the house deposit, but that was our number one focus and goal. We're like, I feel like we need a reward. I feel like we need to do something big. So big we did. We took the kids over to America and did Disneyland, Universal Studios, Legoland, all the fun things. So that was, that was our next focus. Once we moved into the house and all this year, the focus had been of Disneyland. Like, we were saving again, colouring in the bits on the fridge on the piece of paper of what we were saving and how much money we wanted for the holiday. And whilst over there having, I say a medical emergency, but we ended up in hospital with my little one, hurting herself, walking out of the hospital and having a bill. Obviously our medical systems are very different to Australia to America, but knowing that we didn't have to stress about that either. And we had that money there to pay that medical bill whilst we were there, and allocating an amount of money that felt good for us to spend every day on food and shopping and whatever we wanted to spend money on, to then come home last week and not be in debt because of that holiday, because that is how we used to travel pre-kids. We'd take out the personal loans, we'd max out the credit cards to go overseas every year. Yeah, that felt so good. And I think it made the holiday even more enjoyable because we weren't coming home with that debt. Like, we didn't have that debt, and obviously linked to that debt, there was no shame or guilt in the spending when we were over there. So yeah, we've done a lot.
And I love it. Are you open to sharing figures? So how much did you save in total for your house deposit? Do you remember?
The house deposit we paid, I reckon it was about 45,000. Okay. And yeah, that was my choice. We only chose to put 5% in because we wanted cash left in the bank.
First, in those 2 years, how much did you actually save altogether? Do you remember?
It was approximately about 115,000 in those 2 years, because we bought the ute. That was a $65,000 ute. We had the paid off in the 10 months. Yeah. So it'd probably be over that. So 65 for the ute. We had about 40,000 house deposit. We had just over 10 grand worth of gym equipment. And then we had about 10 to 15,000 cash in the bank once we moved in to do a little bit of renovating and getting the gym set up. Yeah, which blows my mind that that's how much we've been able to save.
Yeah.
And then Disneyland just cost us 40,000. So
what's that?
It's like, how did we ever struggle just to save 1,000 back in the day to where we are right now? Yeah, it's insane.
It feels insane because we're stuck in a story for so long of how we think life is. And then when we reprogram the mind, like rewrite the money stories, we learn how to manage our money properly using wealth principles. We don't budget. We do that when we become an energetic match for more money. Like the perfect example, you guys are on fixed incomes, still the same income. You saved in total almost 200 grand in coming up to 3 years. And now you've literally come back from a $40,000 holiday, and you're now in the next level of renovations. And most people get the house, and this is what I grew up with, get the house, don't do anything more, and spend the next 30 years paying off your mortgage and literally scraping by, and hopefully you have money in the bank when you retire.
Yeah. And that's not what we wanted. We didn't want that. We bought this house that we bought because of the size of the land. It had to have room for a shed. It already had the shed because we wanted the home gym, had to have room for a pool. They were kind of big non-negotiables for us. The pool's going in next month, which is insane.
What?
Obviously, the pool's going in next month, and then we met with our builders again this morning, going over our final designs for, I say a renovation, but I feel like that doesn't do it justice. Like, it's going to be a brand new house. We're doing everything. Yeah, and that's all with cash. We are doing all of this. We're not putting ourselves in debt. We already have a structure set up for our mortgage that already we have wiped off 10 years off our mortgage because of our extra payments. So that's what I loved about the Wealthy as Fuck program, is we weren't just solely focusing on one thing, like just saving. So especially this year, we've been saving for Disneyland. We've started investing. We've, saving for the big reno that's happening, saving for the pool. Yeah, I feel like we've got so much things happening, but you can, as long as it all fits into your spreadsheet and into your blueprint, it can work. You can, what's the saying? You can't have it all at once. I feel like you can have everything
if you
at once.
Yeah. If you have the structure to hold it, you can, do you know what? You can have, this is I don't think I've said this, but I've said it in other ways, but the new quote of the day is, you can have whatever your structure will hold. So it's just a perfect example. If you want a whole liter of water, you need a liter size bottle. But if you want more water, you need a bigger bottle. Like as simple as that. It's like, I hope that makes sense. And then Christmas is coming up and there's no stress. I know there's no stress. All the wealthiest fuckers, as we call them, once you get your blueprint in place, like Christmas isn't stressful.
No.
It can be stressful. It can be fun.
Yeah. And it always was for me because that's how I grew up. You know, always saw that Christmas was a stressful time because money was tight and all the things at Christmas time. So that's obviously what I took into my adulthood. And for those first few years of the kid's life, that's exactly what it was. Christmas was fucking stressful. And then, like it's just in the last couple of months speaking with hubby, and I'm like, we just have those those moments of realization of like, holy shit, like this is what we've been able to do, or this is what we're about to do. And I will preface that we are paying cash for this major renovation and extension we're doing. We attracted quite a big, large sum in this year for something that has been in the works for the last couple of years. And we didn't know how much it was going to be. We thought we would have to do this renovation in very small parts and small chunks over the next 5 to 10 years, which when we found out the amount we were getting, to then know that we can do the full renovation. We're going to move out and rent a house for 8 months whilst this happens and really make it our dream home. I feel like I just went down a rabbit hole then. I don't even know where I started there. But yeah, I feel like that we know that can fit into the spreadsheet, and it makes it so simple. Sorry, I'm coming back full circle now. Just having those conversations with hubby and, him saying like he still sometimes catches himself and he's like, are you sure that's a lot of money like we're putting into the house? And it's like, this is how it's going to work. Like show him like this is the numbers. This is how it's going to work right now to come out the other end debt free in our forever home. That's exactly how we want it to be. For the 15 or 14 years of us being together, we'd always been in rental properties. So to be in that position of now of being able to design things how we want them, and they're just real pinch me moments. And again, this morning found ourselves with the builders of like, cool, we know we can add our outdoor area. Let's do our outdoor entertaining area. Let's add that onto the design as well because we know that we can fit that in. So I just feel like we're really in that place of anything is possible right now financially and what we want for our future. And I think I always say it to you, Kim, like saying how grateful and thankful I am to you and to the program that you created doesn't seem enough. And I feel like it will never be enough, but like you've played such a huge part in this. Yeah, I am forever grateful for you.
Thank you. But I just love this. You ended with the most perfect thing, like anything is possible. It didn't take 3 years. It took less time. We're just in that point where 3 years ago, you're like, I can't have that. We can't afford it. We are stuck. We are capped. We are limited. This is it. This is life. We just have to live week to week and make do. And hopefully one day it gets better. Hopefully something will happen. Like this is a whole waiting for someone to come save us or something to come save us. Just with a few shifts, committing to the version of you want to become for you and your family and your children. And look at now you're in a point of like, and this is how the wealthy people think. It's like, how can we make this happen? Not in my reality yet. How can this be my reality? This is literally my life. Like this is what happens when you do this work.
Yeah.
We no longer say I can't afford it. Like that's not in our vocabulary anymore.
No.
Our kids are not.
And I think that was I say damaging because it kind of was back then of that's what I always heard as a child. Can't afford it. And I'm like, I want my kids to grow up with a healthy relationship with money. I want them to understand the importance of saving and investing from a young age because that's something I never had. And I feel like I've got that gift that now I can give them at that young age. But obviously making that, they're 5 and 6, like they just think they see us just tapping cards away they've got no understanding of money, but getting the kids on board and this year for their birthdays and for Easter, because we live away from family, they asked all the family for money. We just want money for Disneyland. So the kids saved. Then when we got to the airport, and I'd been explaining to them, we've got to take our money to this special little bank that's going to take your money, our Australian money, but give you American money. So I thought, you know what, it's actually easier and less fees if I go and deposit their money into my bank account and put on our travel card that we use. But I'm like, no, this is a really powerful education for them right now when it comes to money. So they were with me when we went to the airport, and we exchanged our money for American money, and they had their separate wallets each that they had their cash in. And don't get me wrong, we spent a lot of money on the kids, but when we maybe said no to something when we were away, they were like, oh, well, I want to use my money. I'm like, cool, you can use your money. And then they experienced of, hey, I'm now running out and I've now got nothing left of my money. But obviously the importance of saving that money all year, going through, obviously it probably didn't make sense to them converting money, but yeah, just going through building those healthy habits for the kids. Again, yeah, I wouldn't have that. This is generational. This work and this program is generational, because what I'm now learning and what's changed my life, that's the foundation, the foundation that my kids are going to have. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to fuck them up in other ways, I'm sure, as a parent. But yeah, that to me, that is priceless to be able to pass that on to the kids. So
exactly. That's what we're rewriting it. We're breaking the generational. Our kids, they're going to appreciate themselves. They're going to feel good enough. The bank account's going to reflect. We're going to teach them how to make their money work for them. We're going to do our absolute best to pay it, literally pay it forward. And because we have it's so beautiful knowing that we can do that, especially where we come from. And it's just, you'll be fine, sort it out yourself, or all the shitty beliefs that we've given. Anyway, love this chat. Thank you so, so much for sharing all of these. It's only 3 years into the whole rest of your life.
Yeah.
Your principles. And gosh, we'll probably have to do another episode in another year and see what's happened in the last year. Yeah, with what you've attracted and everything. Is there any final, a sentence or something that you would love to share, or piece of advice, or just...
Again, this is probably cliche, but if nothing changes, nothing changes. And that's where I was at. I felt like I'd tried everything, done everything, but nothing was changing. And just making that commitment to myself, investing in not only myself, but it was for the family that, yeah, I was done. I was so sick and tired. I needed shit to change, and I made sure that it changed. And
I love this. You do. You hit a point where it's this is... I know it's our subconscious stays safe in the discomfort because we haven't died there yet, but we get to a point where nah, I've had enough. That was my point when I was 26, 27. I had enough. You hit it a few years ago. And most people, when they come to me, they're like, I'm fucking done. Please help me. And then what I love about the program is it's not that I help you as in you just put all your faith and trust in me and I tell you what to do. It's I help you by then giving you the tools and the practical resources and the support and the accountability to do it yourself. So you take back that power. So I love that. Again, thank you so much for being on here, and you are amazing. And I appreciate you, and I hope everyone took so much away from your story and inspired. And obviously, if you're listening oh my gosh, I need to be part of this program, go to wealthyaf.com.au. You can go apply for the program. The link is in the show notes. We'd love to be able to help you.
My last words, if I can do this, anyone can do this.
Yes, I love that.